we know that keeping people engaged in whatever aspect of their life is vitally important. And so we really encourage people that if they see these trends happening in either their family or somebody that they know, investigate the opportunities to find something that can help them reach out to others. Because that's the number one thing that we found that seniors want to use technology for is staying connected to their families or friends. The second thing was staying connected to their hobbies or interests.
Talking with people about how to have a great retirement. This is the Rock Your Retirement Show. We don't talk about money, but we talk about almost everything else you need to rock your retirement. Now, here's your host, Kathy Klein.
Welcome to Rock Your Retirement. I am so excited today. I have Gary Knight, who's the executive director of the San Diego Futures Foundation. And this nonprofit helps seniors with technology. Now, I'm assuming that if you're listening to this show, you're pretty good with technology, but you might know somebody who isn't, or you might be looking for a volunteer opportunity. So I'm going to let Gary tell you all about his foundation and his nonprofit, and let's welcome Gary to the show. Gary, thanks so much for coming on board.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you offering to provide us the chance to reach out to your audience and tell them more about our organization.
So tell me about your organization. How does it work?
Well, the San Diego Futures Foundation was formed at the direction of the San Diego County Supervisors. Back in 1999, they decided that they wanted to externalize their IT support services. And when they did that, they wanted to make sure that as they were retiring equipment, that they had a place to go and could get back out into the community. So we were formed to do that. So every year we get about 3,000 to 5,000 computers that we refurbish, reload software, and then donate to nonprofits and make available to the community at a very low cost. And one of our primary focuses is with seniors. We have been working at something called Bridging the Digital Divide, which basically means that there's a number of people who are not online and don't have the technology to do it. So we've been working with a number of groups, and the seniors are the highest disconnected population in our community. So every year we provide resources, both technology and training, to the senior population, and we do that across the county. So it's really exciting to have this opportunity to explore this with you and your audience and let them know about what we do.
Now, what kinds of people get the computers? Is there an income cap, or is it just anybody who wants to learn more or who doesn't have a computer now? How does that work?
Well, thanks for asking, because that's a good point. It is income-based, and that's required by the companies that provide us the software, like Microsoft. So typically, anybody that is receiving any kind of government assistance, and that would include Medicare, Medi-Cal, CalFresh, or anything like that, would qualify. And so that is the basic income threshold that we have to meet.
Okay, so just to be clear, Medicare does not qualify you. It's Medi-Cal, which is California's...
No, Medicare does.
Well, anybody
Medicare,
60...
Medi-Cal,
so anybody 65
and over should qualify, yes.
So that's not income-based then if they're Medicare, right?
Well, remember, that is one of the criteria. So we say income-based, and we use that as a threshold because many times people who can afford other insurance take it and don't. Like, for instance, myself, I don't have Medicare, and that's because, and I'm 65, by the way. I'm one of this population. So somebody who may not be taking care of Medicare would not qualify, but if they did, they would qualify for these computers.
Oh, okay. So the reason why I'm asking is in my other life, I deal with Medicare, and I have clients who are multimillionaires that are on Medicare. So
understand.
Are you telling me that they would qualify? I just want to be clear.
They would. It's one of those loopholes that when the program was put into place, not us, by the software company, that was one of the thresholds they gave us. So if you're 65 and over and have Medicare, you would qualify.
Okay, well, that's really good to know. I'm glad that I cleared that up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell me about your programs. Who fixes up the computers? Are they volunteers or are they paid staff? How does that work?
Well, both. We started off with volunteers. we only had a staff of 2, and you can understand that when you get that many computers coming in, 2 people couldn't do it. So we started off with a number of times volunteers coming by and or high school students that were close. There's a high school very close by, and their computer club would come over and help us out. But over the years, as we've grown and improved our services, we've been able to add on paid staff. So right now in that department, we have 5 people, and literally they are busy from the time they come in until the time they leave in the evening, 5 days a week. So it's a very busy, very robust part of our offerings and program. And then the second side of that, of course, is the training side. And we have a staff of 2, and then we also utilize trainers who are seniors themselves. And we have a number of them who have volunteered, and they are either living in a retirement facility or they go out to community centers and other locations to do what we call digital literacy training. And that is how to use a computer, how to get online, how to set up accounts, and then how to use some of the basic programs that we use every day like Word and Excel, etc.
Now, the senior center close to where I live in San Marcos has people that come in and train people on computers. I think it's a couple days a week. Are you partnering with senior centers, or is that sort of a separate program?
No, it would depend on the senior center. We reach out to as many as we can, and if they already have a program going that's functional and robust, then it wouldn't make sense for us to duplicate it. However, there's a number of places across the county that don't have that, and so we want to make sure that we're making our volunteers and trainers available to go out to those locations. And you can guess we don't have the capacity to do every senior center, but we try to get to as many as we can.
And even just the communities, the not 55 and older, the assisted living, those kind of places.
Yes.
Aren't there like 400 or something like that in San Diego?
It is a large number, yes. I don't know the exact number, but it is large. And again, we do have people that sometimes volunteer that will live in a center like that. And that's a perfect scenario for us, because that way, once they're trained on how to deliver the content that we do, they can keep doing it over and over in the same location for new residents or for people who weren't able to make some of the other classes. So that's been a very positive thing for us. When we have to travel out to a place where no one resides, then that's always challenging because people have health issues. Sometimes we're not as mobile at other times. It's always nice to have somebody living in the location of where they're providing it. So senior residences or assisted living are examples of where we would really like to find more volunteers. So if any of your audience would like that, they can reach out to us and we'd be glad to tell them more about the program.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Now, just for your knowledge, probably people who are actually living in senior communities don't listen to this show. That's my guess. But their kids do. And
there you go.
Yeah. And so if you have a parent who wants to learn more about technology or who is somewhat technology, savvy a little bit, then this would be a great volunteer opportunity for them. And they could, how often would one of your volunteers do a training? Is it weekly, monthly, quarterly?
It's weekly over, I think, a 4-week period. So I think it's 2 hours for 4 days, and that would be over a course of a month or so. And we provide all of the information that they would need. We train them on how to go about it. And as you say, many of them are already tech savvy, and they just love being able to help a peer learn something that's so vital to today's existence. I mean, if we think about it, almost everything that we do now has some technology associated with it.
I know. Even your refrigerator can be turned on and off by your phone. It's crazy.
It can even tell you what's inside of it.
That's kind of scary.
Yes. The world is being taken over by automation. Huh?
I know. It is. Everything's moving so fast. It's crazy. It is. So I just want to.
If we can keep a handle on it, it's good.
I know.
It's always when things get out of control, but no, it's all positive.
Okay, so you just said that there was this 4-week, 2-hour training. Is that to train the trainers, or is that the actual class that the person would be teaching?
The one I just described would be the actual class that the person would be teaching. But and we customize for our volunteers. We do hold classes, and I to be honest with you, I don't remember exactly the frequency, but we go out and try to recruit new trainers, and then we take them through a program. We meet with them. We make sure that they're vetted, meaning that we have a background check that we do, because we won't send anybody out that we feel might impose a danger to others. And then we make sure that they have all the material that they need, such as course materials and the software, so they can go out and teach these classes.
Wow. Okay. And so you've trained somebody, they live in a community, like let's say they live in Belmont Village in Cardiff. And so how often would that person conduct a class?
Well, they may do it on a quarterly basis. They may do it every other or every 6 months. It's up to them. We don't try to define for our volunteers how frequently, but once they do the class, as I said, it's usually 2 hours, and it's over a 4 to 6 week period.
Okay, so they might do it once a year. Is like how often do they normally do it?
We'll take whatever they're willing to give us.
That's awesome.
Meaning that we don't try to lock them in because let's be realistic. If you're healthy and you have the ability of traveling, maybe something you want to do, and you may be gone for 2 or 3 months at a time, sometimes because of health issues. So instead of trying to make it a fixed program, we try to leave it very flexible and make sure that our seniors who require or desire the classes know about it, and if they can't get it to where they are at that point, they can travel to another location.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Do you know of other programs like this in other cities and states other than San Diego?
Well, we are working off of, this all started from a pilot program. There's an organization that used to be called the Consumer Electronics Association. They do a big show every year in Las Vegas. They've changed their name to the Consumer Technology Association, and they provided us a grant 3 years ago to start this program and get it off the ground. And we've been able to partner with the county and others, and so we now we're in our third year. We've trained quite a few hundred people over the course of that period of time and have expanded the program. Now I think we have at least 18 sites that we're at any given time.
And are those all in California, or are they in other
Those
states?
are all in San Diego. So I can't speak to the depth of other programs. I do know that there are other organizations and other assisted living facilities and retirement facilities in other parts of California that do provide some kind of training and education. I just don't know to what extent. It's not something that we have a organizational structure that we can connect up with them and provide it. It's more anecdotal. I hear about it from somebody else.
That's too bad that the Consumer Technology Association doesn't sort of have a alliance for all of you. Yeah, because wouldn't that be cool if you could all communicate and share best practices? It
would be, and I'll that's a great example of an idea that I can take back to them and let them know that it came from the community and see what they have to say.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, so we are currently talking to Gary Knight, who is the executive director of the San Diego Futures Foundation, and he is telling us about what the volunteers do. And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the programs that the general public can take.
Are your plastic containers multiplying behind closed doors? Hi, my name is Lisa Woodruff, and I am a professional organizer and productivity expert. Okay, what's going on behind those closed doors with all of those plastic containers? I want you to get them all out and put them on your kitchen counter or your kitchen table. All of them, every single one. And then match the tops and the bottoms. If you don't have a top, get rid of the bottom. And if you have a top with no bottom, get rid of the top. Then when you look at what you have left, I want you to think about, really, how many plastic containers do you need? How often do you use reusable plastic containers? Get down to a very small amount that you keep in your cabinet, because as you and I know, they're going to multiply in there anyway. Anything you don't need, go ahead and donate, and then find out how little you can live on. Check out the Organize 365 podcast for more on how to get organized as you rock your retirement.
Welcome back to the Rock Your Retirement Show. We are talking with Gary Knight, who is the executive director of the San Diego Futures Foundation, and he has been talking to us about volunteer opportunities with his organization. Now we're going to talk about what the general public can do. So, Gary, welcome back.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So tell me what kinds of programs you have that people can take. Is it the 2-hour class, or what exactly can people do with your organization?
The first thing you can think of is that if they meet we had talked a little bit about a financial threshold, and that's across the board. It doesn't just require seniors. But if they have need of technology and financially qualified, we always encourage people to come and get a computer and utilize it for the many things that we need every day. Like I said, from signing on to sites, to researching jobs, to applying for jobs, to traveling virtually, to connecting up with family and being able to communicate with them. There are so many things that technology offers that we can improve the quality of life that we have. So that's one of the areas that we encourage. Or refer somebody that they know that doesn't have a computer. We work a lot with a program called Connect to Compete, and that is a national program designed for families, specifically the children who are on a free lunch program. And there they can get internet connectivity for a very low cost, and they're allowed to borrow one of our computers. And that has been a program that's been going on for the last 4 to 5 years, and we've helped a number of families. Yet every year, new children coming on board to the school system that we try to support and help the schools with. There's also a number of programs where you can go out and volunteer your time and helping students in schools. Like we have one group that will come by and pick up a request of 15 or 20 computers. They'll come by, pick them up, and then take them into a school and set up a computer lab for them. We really appreciated these groups of people who volunteer to do that and recognize the importance of making sure technology is available to students for other activities. That's two of the programs I can think of off the top of my head. The other one that this won't probably apply to a large number of your audience, but we work with other nonprofits and provide them technology. So they can go online at sdfutures.org and request computers. We'll make a donation, and then we have an IT support service that can help them set them up and be able to maintain them and keep them running for a very low cost. And that's one of our side services that came about just because we do distribute computers.
Wow, that's really cool. So if I have a low-income person that I know who's over 65 and meets your other criteria, can they ever get a free computer, or is there usually a nominal cost?
We normally have a cost, and one of the reasons we did this, it may sound strange, but because we work with a large underserved population, they would get a computer, and we have a pawn shop across the street, and they would take it over there and pawn it because there's no engagement, there's no value in it for them, and so they were able to take it and cash it out and use that for whatever it was that they needed. And we realized that wasn't doing anybody any good. So the cost of our computer started at around $100. And this is a very robust computer that was in the county being used by a county employee to do the work that they do. So you can guess that they're quite good computers, very robust, very strong. But we do have a donation program. So they can sign up, and we allocate X number of computers every month to be able to be donated at no cost. And once that contribution runs out, then we put people on a waiting list until the next contribution is available.
So that's really kind of like a scholarship program.
Exactly. We recognize that not everybody, even though it's a low cost, still not everybody can afford it. So we still wanted to make sure that that was available to the community.
Now, do I have to be concerned that county computers are being used by people? I mean, is there any kind of security concern? What do you do with these computers to make sure that...
Very good question. When a computer, we also take donations from the public here. So when we receive a computer, the computer is completely wiped and reformatted. So none of the data that was on there previously is usable. And we use standards that are considered what they call Department of Defense DoD standards. So truly, nothing there would ever be at risk. No one's going to be able to see something that somebody else did from when back, or if they were to drop off a computer, nobody would be able to find out any of your personal information.
So it's kind of like shredded.
Exactly, except that we don't tear it apart. It's how would you say it? It's software shredded.
Software shredded, okay. And what about when I'm driving down the street and I see the high schools say, drop off your old computers here, drop off your printers. Do they go to you or do they go to the junkyard?
No, depends on, I don't know each organization, but what a lot of them will do is that these are places that are taking them in and wanting to, what they'll do is resell them. We get computers that are donated that are no longer usable. And we work with a salvage organization or company that is vetted, meaning that when they get it, they actually take all the parts that are usable, and then they ensure that none of that leftover material goes into the landfill. It's recycled. And so we make sure that it's 100% reused and nothing goes to waste or put back in the landfills, because that's a very important part for us.
So that would be like your Windows 3.1 computer?
Yeah, exactly. Or if something's broken, it's no longer functional, it's old and doesn't work, whatever. We'll take those, and as I said, we'll make sure that parts that we can use are reused, and the rest is recycled and put back out into cars or other devices.
That's really cool, because a lot of times people have these old computers and they're scared to do something with them.
Yeah. Just make sure that the people they take them to has that kind of both the ensuring that the information on the computers is eliminated and ensuring that the equipment is disposed of in a responsible manner. That's the only thing I would be sure to encourage your listeners to do.
That's a great piece of advice. Now, you still have volunteers that help with the computers and with the programs. Do I have to be concerned about your volunteers, or who's doing the destruction of the data? How does that work?
No, that is done by our staff. So no, we wouldn't leave that component to someone who doesn't know the program. Our volunteers primarily help us stage equipment. So they'll clean it up. They'll make sure that all the parts are working, but our staff takes care of ensuring the security on the systems. And
are they background checked or anything? How do you?
Oh, yes. Everybody has gone through background checks at our organization, and our staff, almost every one of them has been with us 6 to 10 years, and we've never had an incident that's been reported to us of anyone's information remaining on the computer. In fact, it's almost virtually impossible for that to happen.
That's good to know. Absolutely. Because I do know, I have talked to people, oh, what do I do with this computer? I'm afraid, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's good. And then people don't want it to wind up in a landfill either, just like you were talking about.
No, most of us today, I think, have a social conscience. We're aware of, right now we're at a point where a lot of this equipment was being taken over to other countries, to China and third world countries. And they're full. There's no place to put them. And so we hear about them being dumped someplace. And so we ensure that we only work with organizations that are certified and have a audit that's in place that shows what they've done with the parts and what they've done with the excess materials. That's good, because, I've always wondered, okay, so we can't dump the stuff here, so we send it off to China? That doesn't make sense. We're all one world. Yeah. But that's where they were taking it, right? Now, what do the high school students do? They're working the tech part, right? They're not just cleaning up the computers. I can't imagine a high school tech club person would be satisfied. No, in fact, interesting you're saying that. We've launched a new program here that's called Girls Who Code, and it's a club-based program. And this is designed to address a desperate need in the technology industry. When you start to look at the number of students that start off early in their school life, especially as we get to the 6th and 7th grade, a high percentage, 60, 70% of the girls are very interested in science and technology. But by the time they graduate at 12th grade, that's dropped down to less than 25%. And the number of women who actually go into the industry gets down to, especially girls or women of color, it's down to 9%. Wow. So that is a disparity or a problem that exists in our technology. So what we've done is we've connected up with a national organization that focuses primarily on girls, and we teach them coding skills. And so, talking about volunteers, that's another area of volunteerism that we have, is that we have a number of women and others who are successful in their technology field, especially in the programming or sciences. And they like to come over, and we do this twice a week here at our facility. And we have girls coming from different high schools, and they are allowed to then to teach a curriculum over the course of a school year that helps them gain both knowledge and experience, but also confidence. Because one of the things that we determined very early on was that, and the Girls School Club organization really focuses on this, it's called the atmosphere or the idea of sisterhood. And the reason is that so often girls let me back it up, not just girls, everybody does not like to be ridiculed and made fun of. But that's especially true when it gets in the technology field. It's so male-dominated. And they're made fun of because it's not a girl thing. And so we're trying to change that. And so they're given a lot of exposure, a lot of opportunities to talk with other women of success in the technology field, to learn about what is a day-to-day kind of job, and then give that reassurance that they are able to do this, that they have the confidence, and hopefully by the time they graduate, we'll have a higher percentage of women in the industry.
That's great. I am so proud of what you are doing here in my community.
Well,
I love that.
Well, thank you.
That's
appreciated, because we try to associate. So and not to bore you, and this probably will not address a number of your listeners either, but we've also started another program that we felt was a desperate need, and that is we've brought on a gentleman who has both sight and hearing impairment, and he is going to be training others that have sight and hearing impairment on how to use technology and gain skills at learning.
Yeah, the sight and hearing impaired is that's a huge part of retirement in later years, and also helping your parents. So I love the fact that you are doing that. So are they using adaptive equipment, or how's that working?
Exactly. No, that's exactly it. What we're doing is we're training on adaptive equipment, so then they can use that equipment to do whatever it is that they want. A lot of our focus, because of the reimbursement, is focused on workforce. So this would be somebody who maybe has a sight disability that wants to go to work. So we'll train them first on the adaptive technology, and then we'll work with employers and identify jobs that could use this adaptive technology, and then we'll train them into the jobs. So by the time the employer is ready to hire, this person is ready to go to work. And we're hoping to see a big increase in local employment with those who have either hearing or sight disabilities.
Wow. That is amazing. Thank you for doing that. You know, for my listeners, I have a freebie called Secrets About Retirement Your Broker Won't Tell You. And two of the secrets have to do with what Gary's program, San Diego Futures, deals with. One of them is keep your mind active. And by either volunteering in his program or learning about new technologies, that is one of the secrets. And so you would be helping yourself with that. And then the other one is take advantage of services. And so the service that San Diego Futures provides is definitely something that my listeners or their parents or aunts can take advantage of. Can take advantage of. And if you want to get that freebie, just go to rockyourretirement.com/secrets. So, Gary, is there anything else that you would like to tell the listeners?
Well, we worked with the county on a study that they did. And one of the pieces that was quite surprising to us was that the number of elderly, and I'm 65 and over, so I fall into that category, seniors, that are in the hospital and that they come home, if they don't have something, as you were just talking about, keeping them engaged, their readmittance rate goes up to around 30 to 40% because they don't follow their treatment plans, they're depressed, and it results in them being readmitted for the same diagnosis. When we were invited in, and they use a caseworker, and we're invited in and provide them technology, that number dropped down to less than 10%. And so we know that keeping people engaged in whatever aspect of their life is vitally important. And so we really encourage people that if they see these trends happening in either their family or somebody that they know, investigate the opportunities to find something that can help them reach out to others, because that's the number one thing that we found that seniors want to use technology for is staying connected to their families or friends. The second thing was staying connected to their hobbies or interests.
And you have a story about that, right? It was somebody who had a leg amputation? Tell us about that.
Well, it was a gentleman who I didn't know, and he came up to me. We were at a senior center, and he comes rolling up to me in his scooter and sort of honking his horn, and he says, "You saved my life." And I'm going, "Oh, that's interesting because I've never met you." He says, No, your organization. He said, "You guys gave me a computer, and it was at one of the lowest points in my life." He had just had his leg amputated because of diabetes. And so he was trying to figure out what is he going to do the rest of his life. Very, very depressed. And so we gave him a computer. He attended one of the classes, and he realized that there was a number of sites online that addressed his high interest, which was in automobiles. He loved cars. And so it allowed him to stay connected he can actually stream on his computer live races. He was able to talk to other people about cars. And then he started up his own chat room where he could share information, others could share with him about the cars that he was interested in. And so when I saw him, he was actually volunteering to help others. He was excited, getting around, going places, because he no longer felt like he was just discarded or no longer of value to himself or to the community. So that was a for me, very touching thing to know that we played a role in his life like that.
Yeah. How did you ever think that you were going to save somebody's life by starting this organization or working in it? That's just an incredible story. Thank you.
Yeah, you try to figure out how does a computer really do that, right? But when you think about it, it's not the computer, it's what the computer does. It's what it allows you to do. So absolutely. And I try to share this with a number of our staff, so they, especially when they're coming on for the first time, to make sure they understand that what we do isn't just technology. It's about impacting the lives of those who use it.
Now, you have a freebie that you've put together for our listeners. It's called the Cyber Safety Toolkit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you for mentioning that. The thing that we recognize most when dealing with seniors is that they're targets. They're targets of people who are wanting to take advantage of them. And if they're uncomfortable or not familiar with technology, many times they'll receive a message through their email that induces them to click on it. And then the next thing you know, they've lost their information. Their computer has been locked down because of a ransomware attack. And there are so many things that are going on today that we wanted to make sure that seniors at least had the basic information that they needed to protect themselves online and some of the various types of threats that may exist out there. We don't want people to be afraid of technology. And that is one of the things that is out there most frequently is about these kinds of attacks. And so hopefully this pamphlet, this paper will be able to help them understand some of this and prepare so they can go and use their computer with confidence.
Awesome. And you can get that at rockyourretirement.com/cyber. And in case you don't know, cyber is spelled C-Y-B like boy, E-R. So that's rockyourretirement.com/cyber. Gary, how can my listeners get in contact with you?
Well, they can go to our website, which is sdfutures.org, and or they can call us at 619-269-1684. And when the menu comes up, just select the operator and then let them know what they're interested in, and she'll address it or route it to the correct person.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And for my listeners, we'll see you next week on Rock Your Retirement.